Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of Unstoppable Success. This is a podcast where we hear from amazing leaders and professionals who have had unstoppable success. They get to share their tips, their insights, and their wisdom with you so that you can have unstoppable success. I'm Jaclyn Strominger, your host, your unstoppable success leadership strategist. We have a great school community, and we'll make sure that we share that because we want to have you always having unstoppable success and people to connect with. But today on the podcast, I get to introduce you to Bianca King. Let me just tell you how amazing she is. So, she is the CEO and founder of Pretty Damn Ambitious, and she's a business strategist who has helped generate over 280 million in client revenue through her 17-year marketing agency. OMG, that's crazily good. She's on a mission to prove that ambition and joy can coexist, helping women entrepreneurs scale their businesses without burnout. And she is actually going to share with us some amazing tips on sustainable success, and she has a great framework that she was also going to share with us. So, welcome Bianca to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So excited to have you. So, I have to start out
Yeah.
because you have, you went from, I think, I was reading in the notes, it was like from like 700 to 280
Yeah.
million.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
So, let me take you back to the 90s. I started my career way back in the 90s, and I started working in commercial real estate. There, I was able to, do the thing, climb the corporate ladder, do everything that we were taught to do in the traditional success arena, if you will. I worked on a team that closed over $1.4 billion worth of assets.
Oh my God.
This is way back before people were even talking about billions back in the early aughts.
Yeah.
But in my mid 30s or so, I started to burn out and decided it was time to just do something different. And I'm like, okay, I have an MBA in e-commerce marketing. I'm helping market $100 million assets. How can I translate that into something that would work for me? And so I was like, I'll just start a marketing agency.
There goes the shingle,
Right,
right?
there it is, right? Right. Very naively, I did that. So what I did was I tendered my resignation and took $700 and bought a Southwest plane ticket, round trip ticket to Austin. I live in Dallas, and a Dell laptop. Again, they were like maybe $300 or $400 at that point, and quickly landed my first client right after I left commercial real estate. And I thought that was it. I'm like, this is great. Like $700 investment. I can even tell you how many times I, X that, whatever 24, that first 6 month contract was $24,000. So 700 to 24,000. I was like, this is it. Like I've made it. But
Woo! Right.
I was actually doing it during the Great Recession and quickly found out that those numbers weren't going to sustain themselves. And so, yeah, that's my story from 700 or corporate to 700. So after that, over these past 17 years, will be 18 years next month, my 18th year in business. I've helped small businesses literally across the world with their marketing. We have been fractional CMOs, we have been marketing departments. And with that, we have really been able to drive client revenue and ROI just out the roof. And so that's where the 280 million comes in. I haven't made $200 million, but my collective clients
Right.
over the years, we've made $280 million for them in revenue.
That's quite fascinating. So I'm going to ask a question. So because I
Sure.
think that some people might be like, okay, so you jumped on a plane to Dallas and you got your first client. How did you get
Yeah,
the first client?
relationships. And ironically, it was a commercial real estate company. Um, so I had a person who I had been working with when I was in the real estate company, international commercial real estate company, Cushman and Wakefield, and she
Never
knew I
heard of
was.
them. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I worked there for almost a decade. For almost a
Right.
decade, I worked there. And she, knew I was moving on and so forth, and understood kind of what I was doing. And she was like, "Hey, do you mind just hopping down to Austin? I actually live in Dallas. I went to Austin. Do you mind hopping down to Austin and to see if possibly we can work together? And I was like, yeah. And so talked to the owner and the broker manager, all of that. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. We want to hire you as a consultant. And that was it.
Okay, so I talk about this all the time. Did you hear what Bianca just said, listeners?
Yeah,
Relationships.
that's it.
The relationships. Talk about relationship capital.
Yes,
Foster that.
always.
Just foster that. Okay.
Yeah,
So now you are fast forward. We've been you've been generating loads of, and helping people market their businesses.
yeah,
And you've now hit like a new season, so to speak,
for sure.
right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
talk about this new
Yeah.
season, so to speak.
Yeah. So it's probably about 2019. And I was like, okay, this feels familiar. I think I'm burning out again. And so I had essentially brought all of that toxic culture that I had learned in corporate into my agency, right? Working the late hours, just doing everything to ensure that I would have not only the success that I had in commercial real estate, but more, because obviously it's my own thing. So it has to be better, right?
Right.
Especially if you're ambitious like me. And so I was feeling that burnout again. And what I call the pandemic pause really helped me stop and reevaluate what I was doing with everything in my life, right? Like a lot of people. And I was taking a course, and I remember because I'm very much about mentorship and having a coach, having the people around you who can actually see your blind spots so that you can accelerate your success.
Yeah.
So I was taking a course and I was just thinking about, I would be so cool to work with like a bunch of badass women coaches. And so that's how Pretty Damn Ambitious was born. And I had been informally mentoring women. And I was like, well, this is perfect. Like all these years in the agency, I've been doing this, and now I have like a real platform to really do it. Now, I am not a coach. Like you're certified. I bow down
Or
to you.
it could be
I am a business.
certifiable. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I hear you on that one. Um, but I call myself a business mentor. I am not a coach. I feel like coaches should be certified in some type of way. Most of them, at least, I would say.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of how Pretty Damn Ambitious was born. And so we help women entrepreneurs with their businesses, helping them scale with more joy and ease
Yeah.
is how I like to put it. So that they're not bringing some of those toxic culture items, if you will,
Yeah.
into their business like I did. Most of the women that we serve, they're either still in corporate and they're trying to transition out of it, or they previously were in corporate. So I totally understand how they could easily kind of get caught in the same trap that I did.
Right. Right. I love that you're doing. I love that you're doing that, and it's funny that sometimes we bring in we bring in the things that we know, even though we don't want to bring those in because it's what we know,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
being able to break out of that is so important, and to be able to help other people, see those differences and to grow. So,
Indeed. Yes.
so uh so where are you what's your ultimate, if you could say to people right now,
Mhm.
the biggest lesson, because there are things that I'm thinking about, but three tips that you could give somebody to have that unstoppable success, because you've had this ambition, and
Right.
you've grown businesses.
Right.
So what could you what is, like, three tips that you could share?
Yeah. Three tips. That's a great question. So first tip would be awareness. I think a lot of women, especially women of color, women that are immigrants, we have what I call inherited ambition. We are working off the success of our mother or the family member or whomever who wanted us to do the thing. We don't have sometimes a full awareness of actually doing the thing that is really true and dear to us. So
Mhm.
having awareness, is your ambition or the thing that you're trying to have success with, is it yours or is it inherited? Right? That's the first
Mhm.
thing. The second thing is, once you understand what that awareness is, then you've got to align yourself to the new thing of success, right? Making sure that you have the different people and relationships. Yes, I'm going to say that word again.
Right. Yeah.
And things in place so that you can stay focused on that target that is actually yours, not something that, you inherited. And then last would be community. Like I just, relationships are the most powerful thing any person can have. It doesn't matter if you're in business, like we are for ourselves, or if you're in corporate or whatever. Um, Billions move because of relationships. It's just simple as that. Nurturing those relationships, really making sure that you're doubling down on social capital, as you said.
Yeah.
Those were the three tips I would absolutely say.
Okay, you're so speaking my language here.
I love it. I love it. That's why
Like,
we're here. That's why we're talking, right?
because, you know, community is so important, and having that is
For sure.
it is and it and I want you to I want to kind of go back because I could say this, but I would rather you share it in your life.
Sure.
Um, what types of communities do you think are important?
Yeah. So this is really interesting because I have a private podcast that I do, and let's see if I can actually remember what I talked about. So I feel like a lot of us have the community of, it's our girlfriend. We go out to lunch and all of that, and that's very important. You want that social support, right? But if you're actually trying to build something, you also need the community, for lack of a better word, that can kick your butt, right?
Right.
The people who can give you real feedback lovingly
Right.
by all means, right? So you kind of need, from my perspective, you need both. You need that community of people who can support you in kind of your everyday decisions, or you just want to just hang out and just laugh, have a glass of champagne. But then you need the people that are in the other type of community that essentially would help you see your blind spots, hold you accountable, and help you reach your goals.
Yeah. So, how did you find those communities?
It took a while. It does. It took a while, and not only that, like I built it, right. I have amazing, siblings and friends, and my husband, and all of that, and they have been tremendous support in helping me through my entire career, from starting off as an administrative assistant in commercial real estate, all the way to the level that I got. But they can't understand what it takes to build something from an idea to millions, right? So making sure that I've cultivated those other relationships, other entrepreneurs that are like that look like me as well,
Right.
other entrepreneurs that have gone through the fire, and even some who are maybe not as far ahead, and I'm just helping them because I know what it takes. That's the way I've been able to do that. Like really, just again leveraging my relationships and making sure that I'm like, hey, I'm the beacon here. Come join my community as well.
Right.
If you're looking for help in these areas.
Okay, so listeners, this is so important. I cannot stress this enough. Community is so important. Awareness is important. Alignment is important. You know, and if you have not taken the time, like go sit with a glass of wine or something or a cup of tea, whatever your
Yeah,
beverage, maybe light a candle or something and really get clear and know and like be aware of the
yeah,
things going on. And I think what Bianca, what you said is so true. Are you going after something that is truly something you want, or as you said, inherited, right? Did
right.
it something that you is it somebody else's ambition or is it your ambition? And is it
And
something that you truly want or somebody
yeah,
else wants?
yeah. And it's hard to decipher sometimes, as children, especially if we have parents that are very prominent in our life. They're like, okay, you're going to be a doctor. You're like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. And then you get to medical school and you're like, I don't want to be a doctor.
I hate
And then you
blood.
feel right, exactly. I hate blood. I pass out, and now you feel all this weight of someone else's ambition, and you're like, nope, I got to do it because my family sacrificed and they did X, Y, and Z. Then you get into the profession and you're miserable. Maybe you're making money, but you're
But you're
miserable, and
miserable.
that's
But
and that's what I'm saying about inherited ambition. And then also too societal, right? If you're a mom, and how moms want to keep up with other moms. It's like, just do you. I know it's hard sometimes, but you've got to figure out how to remove the judgment, or at least lessen it, so that you can actually be aware of what you want and then align with it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Now, I love that you just said that, knowing and aligning with it is so truly important.
Yeah.
Now, before the show, we were talking a little bit, and you shared you just gave a great keynote, and you're talking about seasons. So I want you to share
Yeah.
that because I think it is truly, as you were talking about seasons, I'm thinking of color mapping, but not the
Yeah.
same, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just really quick, part of what I'm talking about awareness in alignment, that's part of what I call the 5 A's of joyful ambition. That's one of my frameworks that I've worked on. But let me tell you this story. So it was May 3rd, 2023. My husband collapsed in our kitchen. And the reason why I know it was May 3rd, 2023, because I was featured in Essence magazine the same day. And we were celebrating and doing all the fun stuff. And we were coming back together, and I was literally hitting the button on the microwave, and I heard this loud crash behind me, and my husband had fell down and passed out. And my husband's a big man. He's like 6'2", over 200 pounds, so it was a big crash. He was holding a glass, and he lacerated his hand really badly. And so I was like, okay, I got into fix it mode, drop his hand, let's get to the emergency room. So fast forward, why did he pass out? He has AFib. So we go to the cardiologist. What's going on with the AFib? Oh, by the way, he also has a blood clot in his heart. Okay. And so we're going back and forth to all of these different appointments. Meanwhile, my both of my businesses were in what I call full summer. Like everything was firing, everything was great. Like I was getting so many opportunities, just all of it. And on the other side, my life was slowly descending into winter with each diagnosis. And so ultimately, we found out after a lot of imaging and going back and forth that he had a aneurysm on his aorta and would need open heart surgery. And so my husband had open heart surgery on October 13th. And
It took
yeah,
that
and
long.
it took over a year for him to recover from that. And so as I was going through all of that, I'm like, wow, this is really kind of dual seasons. Like my life was over here in this beautiful summer, which quickly went to winter with his health diagnosis. And then my business was over here in full summer. How do you reconcile the two? And so I had to figure out a way to what I call, quote unquote, kind of throttle back my ambition. Instead of focusing my ambition on my business, I focused my ambition on him and making sure that he got well, right? I wanted to make sure that I was the CEO, excuse me, the wife, not the CEO.
Yep.
And so from that, I came up with this framework called dual seasons. And I created an assessment that you can take so you can determine, what season your life is in, what season your business possibly is in, and then what I call the wise response. What is the next step that you should be taking in order to make sure that you're honoring both of them? Because even though we talk about alignment, you don't want to force alignment. Everything has its season, and this really kind of helps you understand that in a very kind of concrete way.
All right. So, how did you define your winter and your summer?
Yeah. So my summer was everything was completely ablaze in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Um, my both my agency had a ton of clients, and more clients were coming in. I was actually had more clients than I can actually handle because we're boutique, and it's that way on purpose. um, pretty
Which
damn
is really
ambitious.
nice, right?
Yeah, pretty damn ambitious was starting to take off. Again, we got featured in Essence, and prior to that, I had written an article for Fast Company, and so I was starting to get all of this traction. So from my perspective, it was like I was basically reaping the fruit of all of my labor, right?
Right.
That I had been working. So that was the summer, right? And so winter, from my perspective, is anything that's challenging or difficult that you're going through. Like seeing my husband getting diagnosed after diagnosis was really hard. It was hard for me personally, but then also knowing, he was never like symptomatic. From our perspective, he was kind of asymptomatic. We had no idea that this
Right.
was happening. And to see what we thought a seemingly healthy person was having to go through all of this, that was like winter. That was just very difficult and challenging to face. But ultimately, it was the best thing because now we understand on the other side of it how sick he actually was. Because he's like, I feel like 30, and I'm like, wow, that's great.
Right. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I have to keep up with you. How am I gonna do
Right.
that?
No, it's
Right.
great. I'm so happy. Like, yeah, again, it was I'm like, I always say, I'm glad you passed out in our kitchen. because it
Well,
saved his life. It saved his life.
well, I was gonna say because it was better to be there than, God forbid, if he was driving or,
Yes,
I mean, who, like, oh
right.
God, could
All
think
of
of
it.
lots of, right, but we don't want to go down that
No, we're
path,
not going
right,
down the rabbit hole.
right, don't go down
No,
that,
he's
right.
yeah. Yeah,
But so,
he's doing exceptionally well. Yeah, he is doing really well.
I mean, I do love these ideas of seasons because you're talking about winter and I'm thinking about things really going into dormant. It's cold. It's like
Right.
you've got the snowstorm, so to speak. Well, in
Yeah,
Dallas, you don't necessarily have it, but you might have more hail per
definitely.
se. But it's also that time where, things are, they're not blooming.
Right. Yeah, you said it perfectly. Yes, it's dormant. It's even dead.
Right.
Not that I want to use that word,
Right.
right? But things aren't growing. Things are stagnant. You're really trying to just kind of deal with what's in front of you. For sure. Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, do you think are going through that winter, summer almost all the time where there's one part of their life that is in that summer mode and the other parts in their winter mode, and it's hard to have them both at the same because of where you put your energies?
Indeed, yeah. I think sometimes, and obviously we go through the entire range of seasons, spring
Right.
and fall too
Right.
there as well. But I think a lot of times we are out of alignment in what we are trying to do. Otherwise, I think there would be no need for the coaching industry, right? Um, I mean, think about it, right? So if someone's personal life is like perfect, but their business is in shambles, right? And they're like, okay, I need a coach for that. Or they're like, okay, my personal life isn't that great, so maybe I need to go get a therapist to help that, right? I think typically we are more out of sync of seasons than we are in sync. And this
Mhm.
is why I create the diagnosis because it's like, okay, we sometimes equate burnout with the friction of what's going on in our dueling seasons. Whereas, if since you're a coach, clinical diagnosed burnout is completely different. We may want to use the terminology that we're burned out, but maybe we're not burned out. Maybe it's just the friction that we're feeling between those dual seasons.
Right. It could be you're out of alignment or, and I share this a lot of times with a lot of clients where we're focusing our attention on the wrong activities,
That too.
right?
Yeah,
Versus, the income producing activities or the activities that are our superpowers and not
yeah,
delegating the other things. As a matter of fact,
indeed.
yeah. So that's
Yeah,
really key. So you have this framework and you have, this group that you've designed. Like, talk about the group and the community because that is something that I
yeah.
think is again, I think communities are so important and bringing
Mhm.
those two together is just brilliant.
Oh, thank you. So my community is small and it's small on purpose. We only accept 50 women at a time. That's so it can actually be communal. I have belonged to and still belong to a lot of groups where I'm a one of 1,000. And it doesn't really feel like it's a community. It feels like people are just kind of spamming and just, asking questions. And sometimes they go into the void and no one answers them and so forth. So I really wanted something that was very intimate, where that I can actually understand and know what's going on in that woman's life and so forth. So I can really be able to help her in a significant way. And so we have people who come and go. We have people who just stay indefinitely, which has been great. Yeah, yeah. So that is really what my community is about. Now, what I espouse is life first, business second.
Mm.
The business is the tool that helps create the life that you want, not the other way around. And I think most coaches, I have to say, and people in this kind of industry, especially if they have that, if they're thinking about business minded ways to look at things, they're always about the business, like business, business, business. It's like, no, if you can get your life the way you want to, the
Right.
business is just the tool to do it. That's it. It's like money, it's the
Right.
same thing. It's just a tool to get to the ends that you actually want.
Yes. I totally agree with you on that. And I've read a couple of different books that are aligned with that as well,
Yeah.
where we really have to think about what we want in our lives and where we want to go. And the and I think what you said, it's life first, business second.
Yep.
It's also we want to think about, life first and business second so that when someone asks you about what you do, it's
Yeah.
your life comes first. Life should
Thank you.
be
Yes.
first.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Yes. It's really interesting that you say that because I'll meet someone and I remember last year I was in Napa with a friend and people would be like, hey, how do you do? How are you? And what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm Bianca. I do as little as possible. And they would just be like, what? Wait, what? What? And then when I do still meet people, now, and then they, find me on LinkedIn, they're like, I didn't know you write for Entrepreneur. Didn't know you do this, but because I don't lead with that,
Right.
that's not what's important to me.
Right.
Like living this best version of my life that I have, this one moment around the sun, I think we get possibly more, I
Right.
don't know,
Right.
is my goal because I've done the other version and it was not satisfying to me.
And, and and listeners, this is actually a really key point. Is what you are doing satisfying?
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it
you
bringing
know,
you joy is what I
is it
say.
right?
Yeah.
How does it feel in your heart? Like, you know, it really truly matters if you are walking and do whatever you're working in
Yeah.
and you dread it.
Right. Yeah.
Time to pivot.
Indeed. If we think about how much time we spend working, especially here in America,
Right.
um, or North America as well, do you really want to be miserable just doing it the entire time? So that's part of the reason why I'm like, okay, I need to redefine ambition. And part of that was when I wrote for Fast Company, and that definition is the joyful, diligent pursuit of success informed by your ideals. And then I'll add that, agency is your compass and joy is the foundation. If you can figure out a way to really understand what you're doing as far as ambition wise, like the awareness, like I said, and then align to what you actually want, I mean, your life can really change in a meaningful way. Now, I'm not saying everything is joy and rainbows. We're not walking around here riding golden horn unicorns and all of that. But I think if the underlying um, foundation, as I'm saying, you're working towards something that actually feels good to your body, feels good to your mind, and you're not working to work, you're working to build a life. That's where it is right there.
And I love that. Working to build a life. And it's so
Yeah,
true and it is
yeah,
so important.
yeah,
So Bianca, I could talk to you for hours about this, and I think what you're doing is
yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Um, so tell our listeners how they can connect with you and get more of your greatness.
Sure, absolutely. Well, they can go to Bianca, B as in boy, King.com. If you go to Bianca King, that's this gorgeous Filipina actress, and she is not me. So make sure it's biancabking.com. And if you're wondering if you're in two seasons, the dual season framework that I talked about, you can go to ambitionaccess.com and hopefully it'll be in the show notes.
I will put the link in the show notes to your website and to the that assessment. Listeners, please do me a favor. Connect with Bianca. Number one, take the assessment. Number two, and then three, share this episode with your friends, your colleagues, and your associates because this is such an important message that is out there. So do that. If you have not subscribed already, obviously that's another thing. Subscribe. And lastly, we have a brand new, speaking of community, Unstoppable Success community on School. So make sure you head over to School. All those links will be in the show notes, and join us there so you can actually get more of Unstoppable Success. And you never know, we might even have Bianca as one of our roundtable discussion experts. So,
Love it.
um, with that, thank you, Bianca, for being an
Excellent.
amazing, amazing guest. And listeners, thank you so much for listening. This is the Unstoppable Success, and we hope you keep leaping to your greatest success.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jaclyn Strominger, and I want to invite you to join the Unstoppable Success community on School. you can go to Unstoppable Success at school-9143 and join us. In this community, you will get daily tips so that you can be unstoppable, and you'll also connect with other leaders and professionals who are also aiming for their unstoppable success and are there to help you succeed. So join us in the community. We can't wait to see you on school.